accused of being a witch in the Savannah region. We have the latest of this also for you unfolding in the Cheneboa-Kodia SHS, where students there have destroyed school furniture as a riot demanding removal of their headmaster from the examination hall in the ongoing WASI examinations. They accuse him of being too strict. We'll hear from the GES Director General. Also this afternoon, MPP calls on residents in the Volta region not to allow themselves to become pawns in the NDC's alleged ethnic agenda after the main opposition party alleged military intimidation of prospective voters from the region.
We are calling all the people of this country, and more particularly of the Volta region, where they have particularly targeted, not to allow themselves to be used as political pawns.
And then later here on the midday, Court of Arbitration of Sports to shortly deliver decision that could annul election of GFA President Ket Tukriku. We have the very latest. Our men will bring you all the analysis as we look ahead to what could possibly shake the foundations of the GFA as we know it. And I want to start with the Ghana police because they have arrested the sorcerer seen in the viral video whipping a 90-year-old woman, Akwa Dante, to death in Kafaba in the Savannah region. A short statement put on the police's Facebook page states that the 40-year-old Sharina Mohammed alias Ahaja, who masterminded the lynching, was arrested at her hideout at Yeji last night and is still in police custody. We've been trying to speak to the Yeji police on this particular matter. We'll bring you details shortly, but my correspondent has been following up on this. Isaac Nonya joins us live with details of this particular development. Isaac, what more do we know? Hello, Isaac.
Hi.
What more do we know about the arrest?
Yes, the suspect is currently on the way with a police escort right away from Yeji to Damago, the regional police command, where she will be interrogated. The residents at Damago, Salaga, they think that the suspect is still in custody over there. So the crowd continue to mobilize, waiting for her to be brought out for them to see her. But our officers right from Yeji have taken her, and we are told they will be in Damago any minute from now.
And they already were getting reactions to this particular development from the traditional rulers there. You've been speaking to the king of the Gonjaland.
That is true. Remember the Yagbura Tutum Baborosa the first, and now the council issued a statement condemning this act. So when the suspect, he got information that the suspect was arrested last night, he came up with a statement exclusively with news, praising the security service, and also assuring the rest of the Ghanaians that Savannah region, his kingdom, is still safe for business, and whatever they want to do, they should come over. They should not let this act of murder of the 90-year-old woman deter them or put fears in them not to come to the region again.
I want to mention that everybody in the kingdom should stand and condemn this act to the fullest. I want to use this opportunity to congratulate the security agencies in Ghana for working assiduously and making sure the perpetrators are brought to book. On this note, I still want to assure Ghanaians and the entire Gonja Kingdom that Gonja still remain as a peaceful land and as a peaceful place for everybody to invest in and go on with our businesses in sources.
And of course, that's the king of the Gonja land reacting to the latest development in the arrest of that sorcerer, alleged mastermind behind the lynching of the 90-year-old woman in the Savannah region. You were hearing the sounds of final year students at the Chinibu Akovia Senior High School at Kumeru in the Ashanti region who have been demonstrating, threatening to boycott the ongoing West Africa Senior Secondary Certificate Examination if their headmaster, Francis Iwa, continues to supervise the examinations. The students say the headmaster is too strict. They went on a rampage, destroying furniture and throwing away the food served in the dining hall in protest. It took the intervention of both the political and traditional authorities to restore calm and get the students to continue with their ongoing examinations. The second part of the paper had to delay as authorities took time to calm tempest. Nana Yaojima has been following this and joins us on the telephone line right now. We'll get to hear from him shortly. We've been speaking to the DCE though, who had to intervene.
We encourage that do not stop breastfeeding even if you are tested positive. We encourage that do not stop breastfeeding even if you are tested positive. You should continue. If the mother encourage that do not stop.
Well, apologies there. We'll get to hear from Nana Yaojima, who will join us very shortly on the developments in that particular part of the Ashanti region. Also, we'll be hearing from the Ghana Education Service, who they've been going round the country, touring the education centers as the examinations have been ongoing in parts of the country. Stay with us as we get to the heart of the developments in that part of the country. Also, this afternoon we're hearing from the defense minister to politics now, because of course you followed the issues surrounding the allegations of military intervention in the ongoing voter registration exercise. Well, the defense minister has in the last few days been speaking about this and also reacting to a development in the Ashanti region in the Asawase constituency, to be very specific. Dominic Nituo has condemned an incident at the registration center there in Asawase where an MPP activist claiming to be a national security operative pulled a gun. The incident was captured on video. Reports suggest the MPP agent Yeshua Yakubu pulled a pistol on MP for Asawase Muntaka Mubarak's bodyguard, threatening to shoot if it did not leave the center. Now, speaking on PM Express last night, the defense minister confirmed the gentleman is indeed a national security operative.
I spoke to Mutaka, the chief whip of the NDC side.
Your colleague, your good friend.
He's my good friend. And I told him that I've had different reports from the ground, both from the NPP side and from the NDC side. And we put the things together to ensure that we diffuse tension. That's exactly what the military have done. The military of Ghana are very professional, so they come in, they can use force, but they don't try to use force. Now the NPP people were accusing Mutaka of stationing his policeman at the registration center for 4 continuous days. He tells me today it's not a true story. And so they had to get him, and the national security people, Boyo, who is the national security, came to...
So he is a national security operative?
Yes. He came to come and talk to him. The police came, he said the police came there first. They couldn't move him. National security came there. They couldn't move him. The military came there to come and talk to him because they didn't want to use force because he's a policeman attached to parliament. But he's guiding a VIP, so they tried not to use him. He says, no, that's not the story. Mutaka gave me a defense, so he says, no, yes. Me, myself, he said, my people were being harassed, and I was there with my police guard, and I went to my office, leaving him there, and they came to attack him. So these are stories we are investigating. But the Minister for Interior...
But why wasn't the guy arrested?
I'm saying the Minister for Interior isn't there. No. The question is who should we arrest? Mutaka's...
no, the man who came brandishing a gun.
But they are both, unfortunately, both were brandishing guns. One is national security, one is police. Who do we arrest?
This man who claims to be a national security official.
You know, he claimed. I've been told
he was the guy who we saw in the video.
Listen, the policeman had a gun, and the national security officer also had a gun.
Yeah, but this
I'm asking, who should we arrest?
This national security official, there are reports that he was an MPP.
You cannot be national. No, I'm saying because you are MPP, you cannot be national. You are debarred from being a national.
Yeah, but that is the problem that the Short Commission talked about.
No, I'm saying that simply because
you shouldn't have.
Simply because you campaign for a political party, you cannot more join a state security. Is that it?
Yes, in some jurisdictions that will disqualify you.
Why do you think so? Which law debars them?
Yeah. So you condemn this incident?
Listen to me. That's why I asked that. Oh, of course. I think that the entire incident I condemn all the actors involved.
But this Boyo guy, our reporter went to the ground in the community, and it's evident that he's been terrorizing the community. But
they should report him, and they should report him. If they report him for terrorizing, he will be arrested.
You're part of the national security architecture.
No, I'm saying to me, if they should report him,
and we know
but I will not know if you are in your house and Boyo should come and terrorize you. Or Kwame should come and terrorize you.
He's a man who claims the police can't even touch him.
Listen to me. If you are in your house and a national security operative comes to terrorize you, until you report me, I will not know.
The police know about these threats.
I'm not police in Kumasi.
And that's Dominic Nitiwu, who is the defense minister. Well, still on this raging controversy, they've been accused of pursuing an ethnic agenda against people from the voter region in the ongoing voter registration exercise and deploying the military to target and intimidate prospective voters in the NDC stronghold. Well, today the MPP, they've been fighting back. The national chairman of the party, Freddie Blay, has been addressing a news conference here in Accra, calling on residents in the voter region not to allow themselves to become pawns in the NDC's agenda.
Every 10 have decided to introduce and pursue an agenda of what they claim to be ethnic disenfranchisement as their last card. Dangerous, I must say. We are calling on the people of this country, and more particularly of the Volta region, where they have particularly targeted, not to allow themselves to be used as political pawns in the dangerous political game by a desperate John Mahama and his followers. Mahama showed very little concern for the people of this region when he had the opportunity as president to impact on the lives of the people of the Volta region. Visited the Volta region, starting with a flower in the K2 South on Saturday 11th July. A trip which took him to Akati South, K2 North, South Town, and Ho. We have observed with shock and dismay as the NDC suddenly changed course to spread falsehood that the Akufo-Addo government was pushing an anti-Ewe agenda to disenfranchise people from the Volta region. I do remember when I was a young student, either it was Wole Soyinka or one of the celebrated
I want to take you to that press conference right now because it's still ongoing. My colleague Parker Wilson is there for me. Parker, so we've just had the chairman there talking about people in the voter region not to allow themselves to be used as pawns in this political chess game. And he's been denying the claims that the NDC has been putting forward. I wonder if he's been providing any evidence to substantiate the claims that he himself has been making against the NDC.
Well, the point he made was that in recent times they have gotten records, court records showing that some foreigners have registered for the voters card and then records, and these individuals were aided by indigents of the voter region particularly the Cape South constituency. And so it tells you the reason why government decided to deploy some security personnel there to prevent non-Ghanaians from registering, and made the point that the election is for Ghanaians and Ghanaians must be captured onto the voters register. And so it is not true that the president is championing anti-error agenda in this voters registration exercise, and that the NDC is only seeking to undermine the process by the Electoral Commission. And since from the beginning, the NDC has kicked against the compilation of a new register. And so this is their last resort. The John Mahama and his NDC do not have any message, and that is why they are going on the tangent of ethnocentric disenfranchisement, as the chairman of the NPP would want to put it.
And apart from this issue that he's been taking on, the issue of the registration exercise itself, which is almost about ending, what's your view on the process so far? Has he said anything about that?
Well, for him, the process has been smooth, with the exception of the NDC trying to undermine the entire process. But the issue of Banda, for example, he has indicated that both the NDC and the NPP in the area agreed to a peaceful process. And so he was quite surprised and actually described the actions of the General Secretary of the NDC, Johnson Asebin-Kete, as reckless for inciting the people against the military. He believes that that must be condemned because it is not an action that could deepen our democracy, but rather denigrate into something that could collapse the country's democracy. So for the NPP, the process has been seen so far, and he's urging all members to go and register and vote for the NPP in the coming election, because he believes that the Akufo-Addo administration has performed creditably and that they deserve another 4 years. But for the NDC, his point is that they don't have any message. John Mahama has no policy alternative to the social intervention rolled out by this government, and that is why they are all championing this ethnocentric disenfranchisement agenda.
Parker, thank you very much. And I want to return now to the Chenebo Akodia Senior High School, where students there have been rioting in the last 24 hours. My colleague Nanaya Ojima joins us now. Nanaya, give us context here. I mean, the issue mainly was against the headmaster.
Exactly. According to the students, the headmaster, during the time that they were writing the first part of the integrated science examination, that's the WASI, the headmaster took a teacher's phone and smashed it on the ground. And beyond that, they were saying that on the day, the headmaster acted too strict, and these students were not happy with him. So they went to the district chief executive to report the incident to him, and Mr. Adajekum calmed down the students. The students decided not to write the second part of the paper, but through Mr. Adajekum's intervention, the students came back and decided to sit for the rest of the examination. So I've been speaking to Mr. Adajekum, and we want to listen to him.
Of course, I mean, his point is that this is clearly something that he's going to look into. I understand that he set up a committee of a sort to look into the grievances the students had presented. Exactly.
So the committee has a retired teacher, the district education director, and also one security person on the committee, and they will be calling students and also teachers to listen to their sides and try to resolve the issues.
Nanaya Juma, thank you very much. Thankfully, we can speak to the Director General of the Ghana Education Service, who himself, since yesterday, has been touring some parts of the country, examining what has been going on with the WASI. Professor Bokobankwa joins us on the line right now. Prof, thank you for your time here on the Midday News. This particular incident in the Chenebo Akodia SHS, I wonder if it's come to your attention.
Good afternoon, Evans. This particular issue, I think, came to my attention just a couple of minutes ago, and I've also followed up with what your reporter has just said. But let me indicate that without being judgmental, I don't think the students have that right. We don't solve our problems through violence. So if they have any grievance, we have to channel it through the right processes rather than to vandalize government property unduly.
This particular school, we've seen also other videos making the round. Students upset at what they believe to be something they studied or had been provided with, books, past questions that sort of they were told that they were going to come in the papers, and they were upset about it. You've been going around the schools yourself. What have you observed in terms of the compliance with the rules that, of course, govern the examinations in terms of cheating and leakage of papers?
Yeah, Evans, the issue about some students saying that they are what they call apostles and things like that reminds me of what happened in my time somewhere in 1982 when there were a couple of riots around that time in schools, and it was one of the questions that we almost always expected about student riots. And lo and behold, when we went in there, it wasn't student riots, but it was student unrest. And a number of us could not answer that question because we were expecting the word student riots, and then what came was student unrest. You know, past questions doesn't mean that you have to have ditto exactly what has been what is in the past questions. It prepares you, gives you an idea of the things that are likely to come, the pattern of certain questions, how to answer them. And the past questions that we gave them was actually something that we worked with WAEC, said that it included the chief examiner's report that gives comments on how students answered questions, the ones that they answered well, the ones that they did not answer well, and then things to look out for when you are answering your questions. You know, the whole setup of schooling is not to shield somebody or to see the people who do well and the people who don't do well and leave them behind. It's to help people to find their levels and be able to be cope with life, be able to be useful to life. So that is it. So far on my rounds, it's been very interesting. Generally, the schools that you go, you see that the students have comported themselves. Everything goes on nicely, except that you know that ours is a formal way of going around. So sometimes you may need to have a second eye or a third eye to see some of these things. An unfortunate incident which I believe has come to your attention or maybe in the media is that in one of the schools in the eastern region, a teacher was found depicting something on his phone to students. And the school officials and the WAEC officials noted that and immediately arrested him, and then reported him to the police. I'm told that he's been given bail, but I have asked that he's immediately interdicted and barred from being part of the examination whilst we investigate the issue properly.
Which school is this?
For purposes of the investigation, if you wouldn't mind, we will hold on to the school and then the person who is also involved.
Okay, but which region?
Give you the come again.
Which region is this?
Oh, I've said it already.
Yeah,
in the Eastern region.
In the Eastern region, but you can tell us the school just so accuracy.
So just so that the police can do the investigation, and then we can also do our internal investigation. Once I've been able to tell you this, trust that we will give you all the details that we deserve.
That is the Director General of the Ghana Education Service. Now, talking about riots in schools, today there have been protests here in Accra as well. Scenes from Awo Shimango, I say here in Accra, where armed police and military are out in force after angry residents blocked the roads there. The residents have been protesting all morning against dysfunctional traffic lights they blame for several pedestrian deaths on those roads. My colleague PC Nanaya Safo was at the scene of the protest and joins me in the studio now. PC, describe the scene when you go to the ground this morning.
Hundreds of people gathered and hooting loudly, "We are dying," as you could hear. Also, "We want peace," no face mask, no social distancing, as the soldiers, mainly in pickup trucks, are arriving in army colors, and there were also lots of blue armored police vehicles in the area.
Now, this is all because of dysfunctional traffic lights. How bad is it?
Really bad. From my own observations, at least I counted 8 traffic lights hanging that's on the road. None of them was functioning. They both dead. I've been told by residents they've been off for at least the past 4 years, and this enables many of the drivers, especially ones who prefer to speed. The roads are quite smooth, no potholes, to continuously do so. And there's been several loss of lives, including one yesterday, I'm told, by a young man.
Okay, I've seen the videos and the photos of several well-armed police and military men on the ground. Have they managed to bring the situation under control?
Well, I can confirm that for now they've been able to bring the situation under control, and most of the protesters have been relegated to a small section of the 3 lanes. But even there, they are divided into 2. Some of them prefer to go home now because they've been told the police are not using only physical means, they're using also oral. They told most of these protesters that by next week work will begin on the traffic lights. Some of them are satisfied, they've gone home. Others are waiting actively for the repairers to arrive there today. They said it's a holiday, they are willing to spend the entire 24 hours there. I
can imagine. So they're going to sit there until they get some resolution. Have they been promised anything?
True, yes. So as I said earlier, the police, they couldn't name the exact policeman, but they told me one of the officers there has informed them that by next week, so they are giving them 7 days to see change on the roads, or they might protest again.
Lisa, thank you very much. Now, the Court of Arbitration for Sports is set to deliver a decision shortly that could shake the foundations of the Ghana Football Association and annul the elections of FA President Keto Kriku. Now, Mr. Sai Kriku Palmer took the case to the court after he was disqualified in the lead-up to the GFA presidential elections. My colleague Gary Al Smith is on the line as we look ahead. Gary, this is keenly anticipated because of the implications it will have on the GFA and Ghana football generally.
Yes, it's very anticipated. The decision was supposed to have come last month, but to even add more attention to what was an already anxious atmosphere, it was adjourned until today. And typically, I mean, if for those who follow the sport in recent weeks, you remember that the decision that saw Manchester City allowed to play in the Champions League for the next 2 seasons came around 8 o'clock Ghana time, 10 Swiss time. The other major decision before it came around 8 o'clock Ghana time, 10 a.m. Swiss time. And so we're expecting that it will come, a bit early this morning. And we've been waiting, it hasn't come. So things are pretty tense because, 3 things are involved. Palmer has asked that the last elections be nullified and new elections be held. So those 2 reliefs can be granted. And then there's the other thing that, he can be exonerated. That is, he can be cleared of wrongdoing, but we may not have elections again. So these are the 3 scenarios that can play out today in the ruling.
And all of that can really change the landscape and cause some seismic consequences for the FA. I'm grateful, Gary, as we anticipate and wait for that particular ruling to come in. Now, the Pediatric Society of Ghana says nursing mothers who test positive for COVID-19 should still continue breastfeeding while undertaking the necessary health protocol. Speaking on the AM show on the Joy News channel, a member of the Pediatric Society of Ghana, Dr. Mame Ya Nyako, said breast milk has antibodies to protect the baby from infections in the body as well, and therefore encouraged nursing mothers to practice the 6-month exclusive breastfeeding during the pandemic.
Not stop breastfeeding even if you are tested positive. You should continue. If the mother is too ill or doesn't feel like she has the strength to breastfeed that she can express, then she can express for other family members to feed the baby with.
as part of this year's Breastfeeding Week, a mother shares how she and her 11-month-old baby tested positive for COVID-19. Listen.
She would sneeze continuously for some time and it would stop, and then she starts sneezing again. And then her eyes got swollen. So I was like, okay, since I'm positive, coronavirus is fair, so we don't really know what it can do in children. So let me test her. So when I tested her, she was also positive. But I continued with breastfeeding. The fear was only when I was thinking she could be positive. But after I found her positive and she was fairly stable, the only thing I had to do was manage her. So far, research has shown that breast milk is optimum compared to any other formula. So if I want the baby to have optimum health, my best option was breast milk, not formula.
The WHO and UNICEF are calling on governments to protect and promote women's access to skilled breastfeeding counseling, a critical component of the breastfeeding support. I think some more good news, and Seth Kwame is joining me with details of that. And I'm pretty sure you remember the woman, Daripoga, of course, the woman who was suffering from leprosy. After the story that Seth broke in his documentary, there was an outpouring of support. And we have an update for you. This is a big one, Seth.
Yes, the building the Vice President promised her is nearing completion. Yesterday they roofed, and the workers there have been working day and night to make sure that in the coming, I think a week or two, it should be ready for her to move in. And people are still sending monies for the woman. So far we've received 36,270 cedis from our listeners and viewers on all our platforms. Evans.
Great. Thank you very much, Seth, with that particular update. And that's it for Joy Midday News this afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your holiday.